She was 8 months pregnant and still delivering food in the rain. Her hands trembled as she climbed the apartment stairs, one hand holding the delivery bag, the other supporting her swollen belly. "Miss, you should be resting at home in your condition," the customer whispered the moment she opened the door. The girl forced a smile. "I still have 3 more deliveries tonight." But before she could turn around, a sharp pain hit her stomach. Her face instantly turned pale. The food nearly slipped from her fingers. Downstairs, inside a black luxury car, a cold-faced billionaire signed a billion-dollar acquisition without even looking up. "Raise the price." "Yes, Master Kane." The hospital called, his assistant added carefully. "The woman from 8 months ago, she may have kept the child." Silence. The pen in his hand stopped moving. For the first time in years, the most feared man in the city looked shaken. Meanwhile, the pregnant girl collapsed alone in the hallway, blood slowly spreading beneath her dress as terrified residents screamed for help. And in her trembling hand was the diamond bracelet the billionaire lost the night he unknowingly made her pregnant. Far away, the cold billionaire suddenly stood up. "Seal every hospital in the city." His voice turned terrifyingly calm. "Find her. Now." The emergency room doors burst open as nurses rushed her inside. Severe bleeding, blood pressure dropping. "Prepare the operating room immediately." The pregnant girl could barely keep her eyes open. "No," she whispered weakly, protecting her belly with both hands. "Please save my baby." Outside the hospital, thunder roared across the city skyline as black luxury cars screeched to a stop one after another. Hospital directors ran downstairs in panic, because the man stepping out of the lead vehicle was Elias Kane, the billionaire whose name alone could freeze an entire boardroom. "Where is she?" His voice was low, deadly calm. "In 9th floor, Master Kane." The elevator doors opened instantly for him. No one dared breathe. Inside the emergency room, the doctor frowned. "The mother's condition is unstable. We may have to prioritize one life." "No." Tears slid from the girl's eyes. "Please save my child first." At that exact moment, the operating room doors slammed open. "Move." Everyone froze. Elias Kane walked in wearing a black overcoat soaked from the rain. His cold eyes landed on the trembling girl lying on the hospital bed. And then, for the first time in his life, the untouchable billionaire panicked. "That child," he said hoarsely, stepping toward her, "is mine." The girl's frightened eyes widened. "You?" Before she could speak, another wave of pain tore through her body. She cried out softly, gripping the hospital sheets. Elias instantly moved to her bedside. "Easy," he said quietly. "I'm here." The entire medical team stared in shock. The legendary Elias Kane was comforting a woman, and not just any woman, a pregnant girl covered in blood. "Master Kane," the doctor said nervously, "the patient has been under extreme stress for months. Malnutrition, exhaustion, emotional trauma. She should have been hospitalized long ago." Elias' expression darkened. "Who did this to her?" The room fell silent. But before anyone could answer, the emergency room doors burst open again. A middle-aged woman stormed inside, pointing at the girl on the bed. "There she is." Behind her stood a furious man holding stacks of gambling debt papers. "She ruined our family," the woman screamed. "Pregnant before marriage. Shameless." The pregnant girl's face instantly turned pale. "Sister-in-law, please." But the woman slapped the hospital bed violently. "Where's the father of that bastard child?" The temperature inside the room dropped instantly. Elias slowly turned around. His gaze became terrifying. Then, he spoke only 4 words. "She carries MYR." Silence. Absolute silence. And suddenly, the entire family realized they had just offended the most dangerous man in the country. The woman's legs gave out instantly, and Master Kane, her arrogant expression shattered into pure fear. The man beside her quickly lowered the gambling papers, trembling violently. "We didn't know." Elias stepped forward slowly. Every footstep felt suffocating. "You forced a pregnant woman out to work." No one answered. "You starved her?" Still silence. And you dared call my child a bastard? His voice was terrifyingly calm. The pregnant girl grabbed his sleeve weakly. Please don't. Even now, she was still protecting the people who hurt her. Elias looked down at her pale face, and something inside him snapped. From today onward, he said coldly, if anyone touches her, they answer to me. The bodyguards immediately surrounded the family. The sister-in-law collapsed crying. Master Kane, please forgive us. We raised her after her parents died. You raised her? Elias repeated. His eyes turned ice cold. Then why was she delivering food at 8 months pregnant? Nobody could answer. The doctor suddenly rushed forward nervously. Master Kane, the patient's contractions are worsening. We must begin emergency treatment now. The girl cried softly as another sharp pain hit her stomach. Elias immediately held her trembling hand. Look at me. Her tearful eyes met his. You and the baby. His voice softened for the first time. I won't let anything happen to either of you. Hours later, the storm outside finally quieted. But inside the private VIP hospital suite, no one dare relax. The pregnant girl slept weakly against the pillows, her face still pale from blood loss. Beside the bed sat Elias Kane, still wearing the same black coat, still watching her, like he was afraid she would disappear the moment he looked away. Master Kane, his assistant whispered carefully, the shareholders are waiting for tomorrow's merger meeting. Cancel it. The assistant froze. That deal is worth $3 billion. Elias never looked away from the sleeping girl. She's worth more. Silence filled the room. Then, the girl stirred slightly in her sleep. Almost immediately, Elias leaned closer. Her tiny hand unconsciously grabbed his sleeve. Don't leave, she whispered weakly. Something in Elias' cold expression softened instantly. I'm not going anywhere. At that moment, the hospital director suddenly rushed into the room in panic. Master Kane. Elias' face darkened. I said no interruptions. But the director looked terrified. The hospital surveillance system was hacked 30 minutes ago. We found armed men entering the building. His voice shook. They're heading toward her floor. The entire room fell silent. Then Elias slowly stood up. His eyes became frighteningly cold. Touch her once, and they leave here in body bags. The hospital lights suddenly shut off. Darkness swallowed the entire floor. A nurse screamed somewhere in the hallway. Then, gunshots echoed through the building. The pregnant girl instantly woke in fear. What happened? Elias moved immediately. He pulled her against his chest protectively as armed bodyguards flooded the room. Master Kane. One guard barked through his earpiece. Multiple intruders confirmed. The atmosphere turned deadly. The girl trembled violently. They're coming for the baby. Elias tightened his arms around her. No one has taken my child. Outside the suite, heavy footsteps thundered through the hallway. Then came the sound of terrified screaming. Search every room. Find the woman. The girl's face turned white. They found me because of you, she whispered shakily. If I didn't carry your child. Stop. Elias gently lifted her chin. For the first time, his cold eyes revealed something dangerously emotional. You think I'm protecting you because of the baby? She froze. A loud explosion suddenly shook the hallway doors. The bodyguards instantly raised their weapons. But Elias never looked away from her. If it were only the child. His voice dropped lower. I wouldn't be losing my mind like this. Then, the hospital room doors exploded open. Smoke filled the hospital suite. The shattered doors slammed against the walls as masked men stormed inside, holding weapons. Take the woman. The pregnant girl gasped in terror. Elias instantly pulled her behind him. Get down. Gunfire erupted across the room. Bodyguards fired back immediately as glass exploded everywhere. The girl covered her ears, shaking violently. One attacker suddenly broke through the chaos and lunged straight toward the hospital bed. Give us the air. Before anyone could react, Elias grabbed the attacker by the throat with terrifying force and slammed him against the wall. Crack! The entire room froze. His eyes looked murderous. You came for my woman. The attacker coughed violently. Master Kane, this is bigger than you think. Elias tightened his grip harder. Who sent you? But before the man could answer, a sniper shot pierced through the window. Bang! Blood splattered across the floor. The attacker collapsed instantly. The pregnant girl screamed softly. Elias turned sharply toward the shattered window. Across another rooftop, a red laser sight suddenly appeared on her chest. Down! Elias threw himself over her body just as another bullet blasted through the room. The bodyguards opened fire immediately. Chaos exploded everywhere. Meanwhile, hidden in Elias' coat, the girl heard it clearly. His heartbeat. Fast, violent, terrified. And for the first time, she realized the cold billionaire was truly afraid of losing her. The sniper bullets finally stopped, but the fear inside the hospital room remained. The pregnant girl clung tightly to Elias' shirt, her entire body trembling uncontrollably. Elias lowered his head slightly. Are you hurt? She shook her head weakly. But before either of them could breathe, his assistant suddenly rushed into the destroyed suite. Master Kane, we found out who sent them. Elias' expression darkened instantly. Speak. The assistant hesitated. Then, it was someone from the Kane family. Silence. The girl slowly looked up at him in shock. Your family? Elias said nothing. Outside the broken hospital windows, thunder rolled across the city again. The board members discovered rumors about the heir. The assistant continued carefully. They believe once the child is born, your position becomes untouchable. Another bodyguard entered urgently. Master Kane, the old chairman has ordered you back immediately. Elias laughed coldly. No words, no emotion, only danger. They attacked a pregnant woman. His voice dropped lower. For power. The girl suddenly grabbed his hand weakly. Don't go. Elias looked down at her trembling fingers wrapped around his. And instantly, the terrifying coldness in his eyes softened. I'm not leaving you alone again. At that exact moment, the hospital monitors suddenly began screaming loudly. Beep, beep, beep. The doctor's face turned pale. Master Kane, the patient is going into premature labor. The entire delivery room erupted into chaos. Blood pressure falling. Prepare emergency stabilization. She's losing too much blood. The pregnant girl cried out in pain as another violent contraction hit her body. Elias held her hand tightly beside the hospital bed. His expensive suit was stained with blood, but he didn't care. Look at me, he said hoarsely. Stay awake. Tears slid down her face. I'm scared. For the first time, the cold billionaire's composure completely cracked. You won't die. His voice trembled slightly. Do you hear me? The doctors exchanged nervous glances. None of them had ever seen Elias Kane like this before. Suddenly, the girl grabbed his sleeve weakly. If something happens to me, don't say that. Please, she whispered painfully. Promise me you'll protect our baby. Elias' jaw tightened hard. Then slowly, he lowered his forehead against hers. You're both surviving. Another painful scream tore from her lips. The lead doctor suddenly shouted, We can't wait any longer. We need immediate surgery, or we may lose both mother and child. The room fell silent. Every second felt deadly. Then Elias looked up. His terrifying gaze swept across the entire medical team. Save her. His voice turned ice cold. And if anything happens to her, no hospital in this city will survive the consequences. The surgery lights burned through the night. Outside the operating room, Elias Kane stood motionless in the dark hallway while blood stained the cuffs of his shirt. No one dared approach him. Not the doctors. Not the bodyguards. Not even his own assistant. Because everyone could feel it. The most powerful man in the city was terrified. Suddenly, the operating room doors burst open. A nurse rushed out anxiously. Master Kane. Elias instantly stepped forward. How is she? The mother's condition is critical, the nurse said shakily. But there's something else. Elias' gaze darkened. Speak. The nurse swallowed hard. She's carrying twins. Silence. Absolute silence. Even the bodyguards froze. Inside the operating room, the girl screamed in pain as tears streamed down her face. Elias. The moment he heard her crying, He walked straight toward the operating room doors. "Master Kane, you can't go in there." But Elias shoved the doors open anyway. The doctors panicked instantly. "Sir, this is a sterile operating room." He ignored everyone. Then he moved directly beside her trembling body and held her hand tightly. "I'm here." Her tearful eyes met his immediately, and somehow her breathing slowly calmed. The lead doctor froze in disbelief, because the monitors stabilizing in front of them were reacting to him. Then suddenly, a loud newborn cry echoed across the entire operating room. And for the first time in years, Elias Kane finally smiled. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button. Subscribe so you never miss a story, and drop a comment telling us where in the world you're listening.